So just doing a video, letting my dogs out in the yard here. I wanted to do a quick video. I haven't been doing a lot of non-live videos, just to give my initial statement that I put 2 months ago almost on what I thought of these lockdowns we're seeing across the country. My initial thought was, I have no clue how much this virus will kill people. I don't know if it'll be 10,000 people, if it'll be 2 million people. And I'm not saying that I'm such a libertarian that I could never accept any infringement of rights. But what I am saying is I'm taking the lessons of the founding fathers that say that before we allow the government to take away our rights, they should have to answer basic questions. And the government failed at every level, whether it be my local, state, or national governments. Oh, just watching my dogs chasing birds here, to answer these basic questions. Some of these basic questions would be this: what are the models you're looking at? Where do they come from? How many people do those models say will get infected? How many people does it say will die? And what is the mortality rate, which the infected number and the amount of people dead would give us that? What is the probability of the worst case scenario happening? And then we also needed to know, what was the government's threshold for when they could take away our rights in the Bill of Rights and shut down the economy as if they did? Now, this is a very important question because it allows us to hold the government accountable. This is a question that you could answer in the government even if there wasn't a pandemic coming. It's a hypothetical question of, when are you as a government agent allowed to come in and say, we're going to strip people of their rights? There has to be a number that you have in mind. Well, if we're afraid that 100,000 people will get infected or 100,000 people die, etc. And then the last thing that they should be answered is, how will the taking away of our rights save lives? How will it help the situation? And what is the guarantee that this won't be used over and over again? And what is the evidence for when we will lift these sort of restrictions and give these rights back? The government failed to answer any of those questions whatsoever. And as a result of that, it allows the government to say, no matter what, they did the right thing. So if 1,000 people die or if 1 million people die, they'll say, yep, we were right to take away your rights. It would have been worse if we didn't. And because we didn't force them to answer those questions, we now we have no clear threshold for when we should lift these restrictions. Instead, they're just playing it by ear. That's how you see mixed messages at Trump at the federal level, at the state level. I'm here in Pennsylvania with the Democratic governor that say things like this: well, it's so serious that we have to shut down all non-essential businesses. But it's not serious enough that we could still have the candy store opened, because the candy stores here are considered essential businesses. In New Jersey, for example, it's so serious that your right to peacefully assemble and practice religion, you can't go to church. You'll be arrested if you go to church. But the liquor stores will be open. It's these sorts of double standards and mixed messaging that show that these people didn't know what they were doing. And the last thing I'll say is this: I'm not saying that the COVID crisis isn't real, though I think that it's bearing out that I was right to be skeptical, that the infections rates way higher than we thought, which proves the mortality rates way lower than what we thought. And if that's the case, the way to fight a disease like this isn't to have these lockdowns. Instead, the way you fight that is you try to isolate the most problematic population, the people that are most susceptible to this. But instead, we did the exact opposite, which is actually causing things like furloughing workers at hospitals, stopping people from getting treatment from other serious diseases that they should. I know someone who had brain surgery canceled or delayed because of this, because it was considered non-essential. But the other thing that it does is, it not only does these sort of things that we see that are making it worse, but it's going to set the precedent then, for this will allow them to, anytime they want to, exploit a crisis to take our rights away. The establishment and the globalists want to destroy the middle class in the United States. They want to destroy national sovereignty, and the biggest impediment to getting the globalist system that they want are self-sufficient people, particularly in countries like the United States, that are able to live without relying on the government. With one fell swoop, they've eliminated that, and they've made millions of people that have done the right things their whole life now rely on the government for checks to get through this time. And they've set the precedent that if they could do it today based on COVID, a virus no one knew anything about, they'll be able to do it next year based on COVID or based on climate change or whatever they want. The biggest threat we face isn't the virus. It's not even the economic destruction, although that's way more severe than the virus. The biggest threat we face is that we have set the precedent that millions of Americans, even constitutional conservatives, have accepted and endorsed the taking away of our rights based on being afraid of something that they knew nothing about. Once we give the government the power to use that, they're going to do it over and over again. Hey, thanks so much, everyone, for listening to this. If you like, please like and subscribe. Recommend my videos to some other people, and look for me to be putting out some more material in the future. So thanks so much, everyone. Have a good one.